welcome to this week of Curbside Camp. Our theme this week is Around the World in 5 days. So for our activities, we're going to be checking out some activities from different countries, and hopefully you guys will learn about a few different cultures and the activities that we're doing. So our activity today is candy sushi, and a lot of people think that sushi originated in Japan, but it actually originated in Southeast Asia along the Mekong River in about the 10th century. So sushi has been around for a long time. And the first type of sushi is called narazushi. Narazushi uses a fermentation process where they ferment the fish in rice vinegar, salt, and rice, and then they actually get rid of the rice afterwards. So all they ate was the fish. And over time, sushi has changed a lot. They've come out with a lot of different types. The Japanese actually prefer to eat their fish with rice. So namanare is another type of sushi that has both fish and rice and is semi-fermented. And then haizushi is another type that involves both rice and fish and is probably most similar to what is popular today and what you would think of when you think of sushi. So sushi came to the United States in the early 1900s. There was an increase in Japanese immigrants at that time, so that's when it first got introduced to us. Once sushi came to the United States, things started adapting from there as well. Like the California roll, which is a pretty common sushi roll here, is actually adapted by switching out what they have as toro, which is a fatty tuna, with a piece of avocado. So there are a lot of different sushi rolls here in the US that aren't traditional and that you might not find elsewhere. So to make our candy sushi, in our bag you are going to find Rice Krispie treats, which are what we are going to use as the rice that you would find in sushi. You're going to have some fruit by the foot, which we're going to use to wrap our sushi in place of seaweed. You're also going to have some sour straws and some Swedish fish to be a part of our sushi, and a pair of chopsticks to eat your sushi with. And you're also going to find a couple little containers. So we have this green container, which is our wasabi for our candy sushi. And it's actually just vanilla frosting with green food coloring. So wasabi is commonly served with sushi. Real wasabi comes from Wasabia japonica, which is kind of pricey, so they don't usually serve it at restaurants. If you go to a sushi restaurant and get wasabi, it's most likely horseradish, a little bit of mustard powder, and some green food coloring to make it look like real wasabi. And it's super spicy, so there's usually just a little bit on your plate to add to your sushi if you want to eat it. So we have our candy sushi wasabi, and we also have a little ramekin that has our ginger, which is also commonly served with sushi, and it's coconut with some red food dye. So ginger that they serve with sushi is a pickled ginger, so they shave it and then pickle it with some vinegar and sugar usually to make it a little bit sweeter. And it's used as a palate cleanser, so if you get multiple types of sushi, you can have some ginger in between so that you can cleanse the palate of the first one and then try the next one and not have any of the flavors cross over. So we have those to eat with your candy sushi as well. And then I went ahead and grabbed a piece of wax paper to make my sushi on, but you can use the counter if you want, if that's okay with your parents, or a plate or a pan, just something that I can roll it out and not have to worry about making a mess. All right, so to start our sushi, I'm gonna take my Rice Krispie treat and unwrap it. You have a few, so you should be able to make a few different types if you want. And then I'm gonna use my hands, but if you have a rolling pin or something that you could use, even the back of a spoon, if you wanna push it down, I'm gonna kind of push mine to make it thinner and a little bit easier to roll out. So I'm gonna squeeze it together so that it's nice and easy to make whatever shape I want. And there are a lot of different types of sushis. So one of the common ones that you might recognize is called maki, which is rice and a filling which is wrapped in seaweed. So the filling's in the center, the rice is on the outside, and then it's finished by being wrapped up in some seaweed. So I think that's what I'm gonna do for my first roll. So now that I have my Rice Krispie nice and thinned out, I think it'll be easy to roll up. I'm gonna lay it down, and I'm gonna grab some of my sour straws to use for my filling. So So I'm gonna grab a couple straws to put in there, maybe one of each color. And I think 3 will be good. So I'm gonna do that. And then we're gonna roll it up. So you wanna pinch it up and roll it into your sushi roll. And some of it might start to come apart, but you can just squeeze it back together. There should be plenty of Rice Krispie that you can just pinch it together and fill in any of those spots. All right, so I've got my rice all rolled up, and I actually took off some of the end because the sour straws weren't long enough to reach to the other side. So you can do that if you want it to look the same on both sides, or if you want to use some more sour straws so that you can have a longer piece of sushi, whatever you want to do. So the next part is we're going to grab our fruit by the foot to wrap it around the rice and be in place of our seaweed. So I unraveled a little bit of my fruit by the foot. I'm gonna measure it out and see how much I need to fit around my sushi roll here. And I think I'm gonna do it a little bit further so that it'll stay on. I'm gonna tear it off and then attach it there. So here I have my first sushi roll, which is the maki sushi roll based off of what actual sushi looks like. So I'm gonna set that to the side and do another one. Another type of sushi that is common is called nigiri. And with nigiri, it is a little bed of rice with a fish or some sort of topping on top. So I'm going to break off a little chunk here. I'm gonna kind of round it out because Rice Krispies are square and I want it to be a little bit rounded. And then I'm going to grab a Swedish fish to put on top and be my fish topping. So this one is super easy. If you want, you can also wrap it in some seaweed. Typically it's just served like this with the fish on top. But you can also wrap it up, which I think I'm gonna do just to make sure that he stays on there and to have a little more sweetness to it. The last one I'm going to make is called uramaki, and it's very similar to the first one that we made, but instead of having the filling and then the rice and then the seaweed, you have the filling and then the seaweed and the rice is on the outside. So I'm gonna shape this a little bit so that it's ready to go. I'm gonna take a few sour straws for my filling. And then once I have those, I'm gonna grab some of my fruit by the foot to be my seaweed and wrap it up. All right, now I'm gonna wrap it up. So I'm gonna try and keep my filling together and wrap my fruit by the foot around it to hold it in. Once it is all wrapped up, I'm gonna put it on my rice and then we're gonna roll it up just like we did for the first one. And then you wanna pinch the sides together, and any spots that are kind of coming apart, you can pinch those together too. I'm gonna take off the end again because as you can see, there's not sour straws all the way through, so that's just some Rice Krispie. So we'll get rid of that piece. All right, so we have our 3 types of sushi here. We have maki, nigiri, and uramaki. So you guys can make ones like this. You can look up online and see if there are other types that you'd be interested in making, or you can just make your own new creation however you would like. And a lot of times you can just eat sushi with your hands and pick it up, or you can also use chopsticks. So there should be some chopsticks in your bag. If you don't know how to use chopsticks, you're gonna wanna take one and put the top part in between your thumb and your pointer finger. So we're gonna have it rest here. And then I normally kind of grip it with my middle finger and my ring finger to hold that piece. And then as you can see, it's really easy to move your fingers and move it how you need to pick it up. So we're gonna take our other one, and this one, you're gonna place kind of in between your middle your pointer, and your thumb. You might need to kind of wiggle them around a bit, get used to moving them, and figure out what positioning works best for you. So now that I have that, I'll be able to pick up my sushi and eat it. Now that my sushi is ready, I can go ahead and eat it. So I have all the rolls I made here. I've got my ginger and my wasabi. So I think I'm going to try the nigiri roll and put some wasabi on it to try. Normally you wouldn't use this much wasabi because it's super spicy, but since it's frosting, it's safe to eat a lot of. That was some super sweet and tasty sushi. I hope you guys had a lot of fun making some candy sushi today. If you haven't tried sushi before, then this is a sweet way to start off, and maybe sometime you can go and try it for real, and you'll have some knowledge about sushi that you might not have known otherwise. Miss Panda will be here tomorrow with you guys to do crayon batik. Have a good day.